If you were here with us for our last video, part 2 of our brain fleshing masterclass, we've already gone through the steps of thawing, fleshing, and degreasing your hide. In this video, we'll go over lacing your stretchy floppy ass hide onto the frame you've built and getting it stretched out and through the drying process so that you can then dry scrape it and move along to emulsion and such. For this stage of the process, you're going to need a whole bunch of paracord, likely much more than you see here, some tools to puncture holes for the lacing to go through your hide. Let's check it out and start things off with our awl. A little tedious thinking we're going to need a bit larger of a hole. Well, we managed to get it through, but without a fid on the end of this guy to lace through, the hair is proving to be a little bit awkward. Experimenting with a little bit more punch factor rather than cut, let's break out our stiletto and give this a little bit of 50s fancy. 4 to 5 inches down and about an inch to half an inch in. You don't actually start lacing until it's on the frame, but we're just trying this out here. So running it through the flesh side always, as to not pull any hair back onto the flesh itself. With its little poke slice 1950s technology, looks like stiletto wins for this round. Okay, now that your holes are punched, you can start lacing. And we're going to start up here at the head so that we can get the stretcher frame raised and then go along and do the rest while it's hanging. When we start this, we're going to do just an overhand slip crossover so that once it's all laced up, tighten it all along as we go. And so you're going to want to go through each hole, go back under your frame, keeping your tag end in your left hand or right hand, whatever handed you are, and run your paracord all the way through. Not messing up like we did on this one. We're gonna have to back it out and go back through because we forgot to go around the frame. We're also finding that putting a bite in the line, maybe 3 or 4 inches in length, gives you a little bit more rigidness to pass the paracord beyond the hair, like so. As we're coming up a little short on this hank of paracord, getting back to the frame, we're gonna try and see what happens if we just throw a trucker's hitch in here with a quick release and see if that's any benefit for tightening and so on. Now that you got the top of your hide laced up and your frame is up, it's a little easier to run your lacing through your hide onto your frame. Just make sure that your lines aren't crossing when you do this. We've had to double back a number of times. It's a lot to keep in mind for this part of the process. Switching up paracord here on our 4th hank. I can't stress enough the importance of keeping all of this stuff organized. Otherwise you get a bunch of tangles and it throws you off. There's enough going on. So many things come up that you wouldn't think about that complicate the process of all this stuff. Probably a little bit hard to see given our lighting, but as you're adding more lines to your lacing and stretching this hide onto the frame, it's going to fall a little bit slack, which is fine really, because ultimately once you're done this guy, you're going to be retightening everything anyway, so that you can get that equal stretch from all sides. Though the best way to avoid all the slack in your initial lacing is to get your top done up while your frame's on the ground, connected to the top of that frame so you can erect your frame and then start on the sides. Here we've got Riggs paying a little bit too much attention to our project. Though he's a wonderful co-host, he does get in the way sometimes, so let's get him out of here and continue on. Once you've got your frame erected, you've got the top done up as mentioned, we're going to switch over to the left side of the neck skin, get that connected, and then jump over to the right side, get that connected, and sort of work in a torquing pattern all the way down from here, moving on to the shoulders, either side, and both sides, the belly of the beast, down to your hindquarters until your diagram starts to look like some kind of green screen football strategy out of any given Sunday. Rounding things off at the rump, get that down to your stretcher, and you're going to follow a pattern starting at the top as we mentioned, over to the left, the right. You can go clockwise or counterclockwise, either way, as long as you do one section, jump over to the other, just like a torquing pattern, moving all the way down. This should keep your lacing nice and tight as you go through. Meanwhile, let's get back to our project already in progress. So if you're into knots and you're thinking that lacing is going to be the fun part with a whole bunch of overhand slips and trucker's knots and such, you're probably a little bit wrong. The lacing and then tightening of everything is a bit of a nightmare, but we managed to get the top sides done. Now we're down at the back hindquarters, both legs. So when you get to the bottom, I feel, because I'm backtracking here on some of what I'm discovering were mistakes, I'm attempting now to approach it with a new line of paracord straight to the bottom below the tail, and then I think we're going to go left and then start again from the center of the tail and then go right with another hank. We'll see how it goes. Check back in a bit. As you're moving along and getting all your lacing done up, a good trick to tightening, because you can only get it so tight with just your hand alone, is to take and throw in a marlin spike hitch, which basically you fold your line over, making a bite, reach through that bite and grab your running end to make an overhand slip. It's called the marlin spike hitch because that's generally what's used. But what we have handy is our stiletto sitting here. Push that through, tightens down, and then you can pull from there, getting more leverage. After the math, in this case, we would generally just pull this guy out, but as we're finishing our last little bit of tightening, we're actually going to leave it in place and bring our working end around, pass it through that overhand slip, and then tie it down by throwing it back through the slip, creating a friction lock knot, and then throw a bit of an overhand granny knot right in the end, just to control the random element and keep everything nice and locked off in place. Now that you're all nice and tight and Jules Jordan on this thing, you can get your stretcher up. Got a couple sunny days coming up, and we'll just go leave it out in the sun to get some air and dry out. So that is that for that. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit notify so you can check out our next video where we'll be going through the dry scraping process and rehydrating before we get into the brain tanning and emulsifying. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you soon.
Bushcraft, you make learning fun.
Kids, shut up.